If you're coding with AI in 2025, you need to do this specific technique so that you'll continue to have success in your projects. What you have to do is literally step back once you make your MVP and start to generate a bigger project plan. And so with that project plan, you're just going to start defining all the features that you have shipped and all the features that you do want to ship. Just write them down, even in a simple list. Once you have that down, you then save that document, and then you go create a new conversation in Cursor or Repo Prompt. Select all your files of code, and then start asking questions saying, hi, please help me generate a high-level stack diagram for my application. I act as a senior engineer, and I want you to write out a lot of details as far as how the stack works, because I want to continue to make updates to this in the future, and I want to hand this off to future team members so that they can understand the stack diagram and know what's going on. And so just by telling the AI to do that, it's going to generate this nice new document. And then from there, you want to have it then map some data flows. And you can just say, what are the current data flows that I have going on in my app right now? And then it should just give you a big list after generating that stack diagram. And then you have those data flows, and you can just say, great, can you then now make me some mermaid diagrams for those specific data flows so that I'll have this for reference in the future? And be like, yeah. And then it goes through those types of things. And then as a bonus, if you want to, you can even include code or functions. You can give it additional instructions saying, let's go ahead and get a little bit more detailed for this specific code data flow for number one. So I would probably make a mermaid diagram for certain flows, like for your Stripe setup, or for your database writes, or for anything dealing with the user where it's pretty critical path. So the way that I think about those is anything where a user can get charged twice, or their account can get deleted, or some type of security thing. If you don't know, ask your AI what those types of flows are, and just say, let's go ahead and get a detailed mermaid diagram for the specific flow in my code right now. And so tell it that you want to include snippets of code and where the files are and what the file names are, so that you'll have those for reference. And then have that write into basically a brand new document. So once you have these documents saved, this is basically your high-level plan that gives you an overview of all the features you want to ship. It also gives you an overview of your stack. So the stack is basically just containers of code that run in each section. For example, a user interface, a data layer that talks to your database and write those types of things. If you're using any other parts of the stack to do things for you, you probably want to map that out. You want to have that available and to know when it's being called or how it's being called for those types of things. And so once you have all that together, this is going to be your guide that you want to continually update every so often, especially once you start to make changes to refactor. So the difference that we're doing today in 2025 versus what I was doing in 2024 is now I'm using this plan to then start a new conversation or a new project with my AI systems before I start writing code. So in this secondary phase, once you've done all this pre-planning work of capturing all this information about what your app is doing, what all the different parts of the stack are doing, this phase for planning is going to be extremely important. So I like to use ChatGPT's O1 Pro model. And so the O1 Pro model is extremely good at receiving lots of information, up to 100,000 tokens, and being extremely thorough at going through every piece of your code to then think through things a little bit longer and then give you back the response. So it actually reads your instructions and follows them extremely well. And this is where my favorite app, Repo Prompt, comes in. And I'm not sponsored by any of these people. I'm just telling you what I use. This guy named Eric Provencher, and this guy's majorly cracked. But he's he made this app for himself so he can talk to his code base. And it's really good at selecting files and actually putting everything in the right structure so that you can start chatting with this. I literally put my code base in there, and then this is where the planning part comes in. I'll take some of those documents I generated from those mermaid diagrams, I'll copy them into my little instructions from Repo Prompt, and I'll say, help, as an AI architect, I want to add payments to it so that when the user has more than 11 to-dos, we prompt them to do some payments. And I want to implement this with Neon Text database. And this is my current implementation. I currently have user authentication with Clerk, and this is, how I'm doing it. This is a current data flow. And so you would want to look through your documents to do that. Let's just say you don't even know how this stuff works or how to architect this stuff together. You can give it your current diagrams, all of those mermaid diagrams and your current plans and feature overview, and say, this is my current stack, and this is what I'm doing. And I want to implement user auth, and I want to implement a database, and I want to implement this feature, which basically will allow them to save more than 11 to-dos. I don't know how I should be implementing this. What should I do? And then start having this conversation. And in the conversation with O1 Pro, you literally would, in Repo Prompt, once you have that prompt, you hit copy and paste it into O1 Pro. And once you put in O1 Pro, it's going to come back with some response and kind of give you some ideas as far as how you can accomplish that. And once it goes back and forth, like if you don't understand any part of the code, you can just, instead of pasting it into O1 Pro, you can paste this into like Claude Sonnet and ask some questions and say, take me through this flow. Like, I'm still a beginner and I don't really know how this data should flow. How should I be doing this? Like, walk me through the code and show me what happens when I want to add it to do. Like, you just don't know how this stack works. So you're just gonna have it walk you through what it should be doing. And what's really great about Claude Sonnet or some of these other models is that it will actually walk you through the code, like step by step, saying, okay, first your app loads here, and then when you push this button to hit it to do, it goes, it calls this part of this thing, and then it calls this, it saves this value and it sends it off to this database, and then this database saves it over here and returns back this result, and then this piece of the UI is the thing that actually updates when that happens. And so once you know that, the whole goal of this is really to have you think about your own code, because it's your software and you're using the AI as a senior engineer to explain to you kind of what's going on. So you're kind of pretending like you just joined the team, even though it's your own code and you gave it the instructions to write to it, to explain it back to you in this way. And this is extremely productive if you want to actually learn how to code. But this second part is that it's going to help you think. And that's the thing that we want to take over in 2025, is that we want to think for ourselves. We don't want the AI to do the thinking for us, because the magic that you want to unlock by the end of 2025 is the ability to know exactly how your stack works and how to add a feature, either by asking AI or intuitively knowing because you've done it so much. So like, this is the muscle that you need to exercise right now, which is basically, how can I implement a feature like without asking AI, or asking AI minimal things, right? And so when you do that and you're like, oh yeah, I can grab this database and I can do this, and then I should be able to add this type of feature by talking to this type of stack or something like that. Once you are able to recognize that you can do that without like thinking too hard or asking AI some really basic, minimal questions, you've kind of made it through that next threshold. And that's probably the part that takes the longest, to be honest, but it's the biggest payoff that you can have for 2025. Like the ability to just think through your software or anybody's pieces of software and kind of get a gut feeling of how it works. So like, one thing that you can ask yourself, do you actually know how Google search works? Like when you type in stuff into the text box, do you actually know what happens when you hit search? Like if you can explain that, then you're probably pretty far ahead of like a lot of people who are getting started. And you have some basic understanding because you've either tried to build it yourself or you just know from reading about it. And if you can code it, that'd be even better. The big unlock is being able to think through and say, okay, I want to add this new feature where it does something really cool. And I know this piece of technology does it because I've seen a project with this in it. And then somebody else showed me something that generates really cool images. Like, what if I smash those two together? Let me see what I can do. And so you start to think this way. This is the way that you want to think. And this is how you become like a really amazing builder, because you'll start to actually be more aware of what projects are out there and like what their advantages are and what they're doing. So don't get too much caught up in like programming languages. Just stick with one. I stick with TypeScript right now because the AIs are literally trained on it the best. There's like the most amount of code, along with Python, I think like in Java as well. But for me, TypeScript goes so far, literally because of the Vercel AI SDK. That's like the only reason why I'm sticking with TypeScript, is because that SDK is so well built out, and I can go from idea to actually web app in so few seconds. It's so ridiculous. That's my quick tip of advice as I'm landing at my friend's house. And if you're doing anything in 2025 with AI and coding, hit me up, because I'm actually starting a Discord, and the Discord will be in the link below so that you can join others who are actually trying to build with AI, just like me, just like you. And if you're getting stuck with all these different prompts, with people, you know, like you're just going back and forth in a loop, this is your sign that you're ready for the next step. And the next step is that, and literally this Discord is going to be free. All we're going to do is kind of hang out and build software together. So, all right, so right now I'm supposed to be delivering my hook, and literally all these cars are parked halfway in the street. And bruh, like, y'all not supposed to do that, because it gets me in the bike lane. These people are in trouble. Does he have a ticket? No. All right. So there's a bicyclist behind me. Today is January 5th, Sunday. This is the day before people go back to work. If they aren't on vacation, it doesn't seem like they're going to be going back to work tomorrow. But Lanikai Beach is like the most crowded ever in the last 5 days. There's so many people trying to get to this little 2-mile loop that all the parking in the loop and all these different areas and neighborhoods are all filled up. And then they basically drive half a mile or more to the other park that's nearby called Kailua Beach Park. And they try to find some parking, and that's also completely full. And so these people are like having to walk at least a mile or so after dropping off their loved ones to come back to the beach. And the other caveat is there is no public bathroom in Lanikai Beach. That's right. This beach here is so exclusive and so like Instagram worthy that it's just literally heaven on earth. And that's actually its name. Lanikai Beach is where heaven meets earth, or where heaven meets the heavenly ocean is actually the translation. So it's literally where heaven and the ocean meet. It's Lanikai, that's the word. And it's that amazing, and it's that worth fighting for to go here. If you do come here, just come here early, park. You'll be good, you know, get here by 9 or something, you'll be set. But like, I think for most days, like if you're on vacation, you're going to be fighting so many tourists to get here. But the biggest caveat is like literally there's no bathrooms there. So every other beach that's public has a bathroom. The only way you can get to it is by parking and then going through some of the beach access ways. And that's it. There's like no showers, no bathrooms, no trash cans. You have to pack up and pack in. And so be careful if you're out here. Make sure you obviously take stuff. You don't want that stuff going back in the ocean. We want to preserve this place as much as we can forever. So this is my piece of heaven. And yeah, there's always mad traffic. And so within that, you get a lot of people who are just so desperate to come here that literally would just park halfway in the street, also park into the bicycle lane, which causes a lot of danger to for themselves to just, you know, want to get access to the beach. So don't be those people. I know I'm saying that, I sound kind of preachy, but I guess you get kind of tired of it if you are in the area a lot. So I get it now. I used to be a tourist and not care, but now it's like, hey, I'm also of the mind that's like, you always have to respect other people's property and land and Mother Nature and Mother Earth. So that's just my vibe too. So